Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. Overall, just a really mixed bag of a week. Starting off with Raw on Netflix, which we'll see my review of it on the channel. But, definitely more of a mixed bag with these two shows. That's SmackDown and Collision. So we're going to start us off with WWE SmackDown, and we're introduced to our brand new announced team as it's Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett who opened the show. So, good to see Joe Tessitore is still around. He's actually done really well for himself. I'm glad he's still hanging around. Then we get a recap of Raw, which throws me back to the days when that's what SmackDown was. When the brand split wasn't a thing and you pretty much saw everything you saw on Raw throughout the night. And it was annoying. Like, it was so annoying. And we start off in the ring with a Paul Heyman promo, in which he starts off, comes a time in everyone's career, and address the entire WWE Universe. It is the greatest honor to announce there is only one tribal chief, and his name is Roman Reigns. And our tribal chief told me to let you know what his next steps are. And he doesn't want to just share them with you in the crowd or you sitting at home. He wants someone else to come out and share with this moment. And that man is our current reigning and defending WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes. This brings out Cody Rhodes. Comes out, gets in the ring, grabs a microphone, and they shake hands, which is very, very weird. Paul Heyman then puts Cody over a bit, saying, "You deserve every bit of that respect, and you've done something few men have ever accomplished. You've earned the respect of Roman Reigns. What a champion you are. You're a credit to the WWE as a whole. And because you are a great champion, Roman Reigns has told me to tell you that Roman wants his title back." That gets a big pop. And so there's no surprises. I'm going to let you know what he plans to do. He is officially entering himself in the Royal Rumble. He is going to win the Rumble, and then he's going to fight you for the WWE title. And that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. So now, Mr. Cody Rhodes, what do you want to talk about? Stealing the man's catchphrase. God, I love Paul Heyman. Then before Cody Rhodes could get a sound off, out comes Kevin Owens. He's out in the crowd and he says, "You know what I want to talk about? How just when you think Cody can't get any worse, it does. And on Monday you shook hands with The Rock and Paul Heyman tonight, and 30 seconds after he tells you Roman wants his title. This is all your fault. You chose to help him. You will let Roman Reigns take his title back, and it's going to be the worst thing ever for this company." And then Cody jumps out of the ring, jumps the barricade, and just starts brawling up the stairs with Kevin Owens. Oh, that was a great brawl. But in the ring, Paul Heyman has some guests as well, as it's Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga come from behind. Who makes the save? It's Jimmy Uso. He starts off defending Paul Heyman, but then the numbers catch up to him. He gets a chair, starts taking shots with the chair, but Jacob pretty much no-sells it. Hits a couple of headbutts, gets him in the hardcore necktie. But then a few officials come out, they try to stop it. Jacob takes out a ref, stomps out Jimmy for a bit. Then Cody Rhodes comes back in the ring. He makes the save, he fights off the bloodline. Officials then break it up and hold them back. So then we see Jacob and Tama Tonga being led out of the arena. Jacob then turns to the ref, gets an security guard, gets right in his face, and was like, "You're gonna regret what you've done. You're gonna regret." And then LA Knight from out of nowhere just pushes him out the door. Says, "Yeah, I got a title to win tonight," and walks off. So, yeah, this is definitely a start to the night. Also interesting, no Solo Sikoa with Jacob and Tama Tonga. So that's definitely interesting. But the bigger news, we're getting Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble for the first time in like 5 years or so. Like, it's nutty. It's gonna be interesting. Will we see Cody Rhodes versus Roman 3 at WrestleMania? I kind of hope not. No offense to the boys, but that story should be done. Then we get our first matchup of the night, as it's for the Women's United States Championship, as Chelsea Green takes on Michin. And this match was like, I don't know, it wasn't particularly bad, but it wasn't anything to really write home about. Got some good stuff in. Michin with the tarantula, which I'm so happy that move is back. That is just a really awesome move. But then we get storyline beats we've seen before. Chelsea Green distracts the ref. Piper Niven takes out Michin. Michin fights back. Looks like she's about to hit Eat Defeat, but Piper distracts the ref. But then Green hits a roll-up out of a crossbody to pick up the win. Post-match, you see Piper Niven getting some revenge on Michin. So, yeah, that was definitely a very weird opener. Hopefully this feud is pretty much done. Because there's really not much else you can do with these two. Let's get some fresh faces in the women's US division. Then we have highlights from the tag title match from last week, where DIY and the Guns battled it out. Which, that was an awesome match, but that was interrupted by Pretty Deadly. Then we see pretty much everyone in Nick Aldis' office. You have Motor City Machine Guns, Legado del Fantasma, Pretty Deadly, and they're all just yelling at each other. Gunn saying, "Oh, we'd be champs if not for you." And then Aldis says, "Look, I got an idea. Why don't we have a little tournament, and then we can get some number one contenders?" Then A-Town Down Under walks in. That's Austin Theory and Grayson Waller saying, no, we've been champs longer than anyone here. Maybe we should just go to Raw, where Adam Pearce would respect us. So then Nick Aldis makes the two matches. It's going to be pretty deadly against Legado del Fantasma, and then the Motor City Machine Guns versus A-Town Down Under. The winners of these two matches will face each other. Then the winners of that will be number one contenders to DIY. Yeah, definitely an interesting... definitely some story beats I like here. And then that leads us into our first match, as it's Legado del Fantasma. That's Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro taking on Pretty Deadly. That's Kit Wilson and Elton Prince. And Legado don't wait for the bell ring. They pretty much jump right in, hitting a couple of ranas, bunch of dives. But then Kit Wilson and Berto start off the match for real, and they just trade blows. Like, this was a really high-paced but well-thought-out matchup with a bunch of tags in and out. Then Prince pulls the hair of Cruz del Toro. This brings in his partner. But then Santos Escobar pulls Elton Prince off the top rope, in which he was going for a move. LDF with the NTY, which I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, but it's their tag finish to pick up the win. I am glad these two teams got a little bit of spotlight. They definitely, I think, deserve it. And I'm happy that tag team wrestling is finally getting the spotlight. But next up, we got the United States title on the line as LA Knight, challenges Shinsuke Nakamura. Yep, a rematch from Survivor Series. And, they start off chain wrestling, honestly, which is definitely really cool. They kind of do it all over ringside. They just hold a lockup for a little while, and they're just trying to get advantage. They're trying to, see who the better man is. Eventually, they do get back in the ring. Nakamura with a couple of shoulders. Then counters with a couple of kicks. Big old knee strike, which that was brutal looking. Nakamura rolls to the outside. LA Knight with a baseball slide. But then Nakamura slams Knight's head into the announce table, which that looks like it hurt. Brings him back in. Hits a couple elbow strikes. LA Knight with a massive power slam, which that was impressive. Hits the Megastar elbow drop, but that only gets a 2. Looks like he's going to go for the Burning Hammer, but that gets blocked into a suplex attempt, which gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2 count. Nakamura with his sliding suplex, which always amazes me. LA Knight catches a kick, hits a takedown, locks Nakamura into a Boston Crab, which that was impressive. Nakamura gets in the ropes, locks it, goes to lock in his own Boston Crab. That gets blocked into a Knight armbar, which eventually is countered into a roll-up. Nakamura with a crazy-looking enziguri goes for a knee strike, but misses. Knight with a roll through attempts the BFT, but that gets blocked into the Kinshasa, only for a 2 count, in which Knight gets his foot on the ropes. Nakamura then sets up for another Kinshasa. The LA Knight leapfrogs him, so Nakamura goes knee first into the turnbuckle. LA Knight with a BFT, but before he can get the pinfall, out comes Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu of the New Blood. They just beat down LA Knight, so the match is pretty much thrown out. So still, your United States champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. Jacob Fatu with a hell of a Samoan drop. Couple of hip attacks into a moonsault. Then out comes Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso to make the save. They brawl with the New Blood. Jimmy with a bunch of super kicks. They brawl into the crowd. But then Cody gets back into the ring. He grabs a microphone and says, "Otis, don't let them send them home. They're here. Jimmy and I are here. Let's do this in the main event." So, interesting little setup to the tag match. I do wish there was more of a significant win for either Nakamura or LA Knight in the US title match. But I can't be that mad. Then we get a NXT Vengeance Day hype video. Don't normally come for NXT. I might going forward. Let me know what you guys think. Then we get a replay of the Nia versus Naomi match from last week. And then we see Tiffany Stratton finally cash in. So we shall see Tiffy time a little bit later. Next up is the other half of the tag title showdown tournament. They don't really call it a tournament, but it's a tournament. As the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, take on A-Town Down Under. That's Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. And I'm going to say this was a hell of a bout. It did start a little slowly with some rest holds and some strikes, but eventually it did pick up with the Motor City Machine Guns upping the pace a bit, including their all their combos, which is absolutely nuts. Waller gets in with a rolling flatliner, which used to be his finisher, but not anymore. Now it's a stunner. That only gets a 2 count. Shelley and Sabin with some dual moves to finish us off. Some baseball slides, some dives. Gets them back in. You got the drop kick, you got the flatliner, only for 2. Then Sabin and Theory get back in. They start just absolutely destroying one another. Sabin going for a big dive, but that gets interrupted by Waller. He tags in, gets a few elbow strikes in. Then Theory goes in, goes for A-Town Down, gets blocked into a roll-up, only for a 2. Only for a 1 count, actually. Then Sabin and Shelley with the atomic drop kicks combo. They go up, hit Skull and Bones to pick up the win. So, yeah, definitely a nice little matchup. Jeez, Lily. Then we see in the back, we see DIY, our tag team champions. They're watching on the big screen, saying, "This is just stupid." Then in walks Pretty Deadly, saying, "I thought we had an agreement. I thought you said if we scratch your back, you're gonna scratch ours. Gargano and Ciampa then are like, whoa, you guys had all that heat on you, but you made that heat glow. Then Prince, Pretty Deadly pretty much say, look, I got you, I know. You're gonna, this is still actually DIY, you're gonna get your title match, we got you guys. So DIY then walk off. Apollo Crews then walks in. Haven't seen him in a while. Saying, tell me you guys aren't dumb enough to trust them. You're gonna get what's coming to you, but it isn't a title shot. We then cut to Nia Jax. She's warming up in the back for whatever reason. Then Candice LeRae comes in. She says, I saw Tiffy heading to the ring. Then Nia says, I wonder what she's going to say. I'm going to go congratulate her myself. So then this leads to an in the ring Tiffany Stratton interview saying, thanks guys, it's Tiffy time. What a turn of events. Less than a year ago, I made my main roster debut. I won the Money in the Bank, and at 25, I'm better than all your favorites because I'm the champion. Then, she says, oh, no. Nia didn't bully me. I got her to trust me. And who's the stupid one now? Everyone thought I was just some dumb blonde. But I let her think that I stole the title. Now I'm the top of the mountain. You better put some respect on my name. Nia Jax comes out. She stays on the ramp. She's looking down on Stratton. Then she says, you ungrateful little shit. That last word was obviously bleeped out because USA are little wimps. She continues, I could kill you right now. But standards, etc., they are at the top. I made you. Congratulations on rubbing two brain cells together. You took my advantage of the situation. Congratulations. She then walks down to the ring. She says, yay, it's Tiffy time. Well, now, time's up. Now you have two choices. You can either give me my title back, or I'm going to take it from you. Then out comes Bayley. She says to Nia, how about you just shut up? And Tiffany, if that was your plan, you got me too. But I still know that you're stupid. Nia, you say you made Tiffany, and she still outsmarted you. Tiffy, while this is your big moment, I'm not going to forget that you helped Nia. But she only kept you around to protect her. And it's only fair that I take that title from you. This brings out Naomi and Bianca Belair, I guess, but she didn't get her music. Where Naomi says, we all know I had you beat last week, Nia. If it wasn't for Tiffany, I'd be a double champion right now. Nia then starts brawling with Bianca and Naomi. Everyone takes advantage of Nia. Tiffany with the prettiest moonsault ever. This brings out GM Nick Aldis, who says, everyone here obviously wants a shot at Tiffany. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to have a fatal four-way to determine a number one contender for Stratton. And that match starts right now. So we go right into the match as it's Nia Jax taking on Bayley, taking on Naomi, taking on Bianca Belair to see who challenges for the title next. And this started out a little weird. Started out with Bianca, Naomi, and Bayley trying to overpower Nia. It doesn't work for a little while, but eventually they all overwhelm her, throw her out of the ring. The three of them then do some stuff for a bit. Then Nia drags Bianca to the outside, slams her right into the barricade. Does the same thing with Bayley. It's a big old power bomb, only to get a 2 count. Bayley gets in, hits a drop kick, tries for a power bomb herself. That gets countered into a power bomb by Nia. Naomi attempts a Samoan drop on Nia, but that gets blocked into a power bomb. Bayley tries for a crossbody, immediately gets caught into a black hole slam, which that was impressive, only for a 2 count. Bayley attempts a rose plant, that gets blocked. Bianca tries for a KOD, that gets blocked as well. And then everyone tries to pin Nia, only for the ref to really not know what to do. Naomi attempts a Hurricane Rana, that gets caught into a double leg sweep, and then a split-legged moonsault, only for a 2 count. Bayley with an elbow drop, Bianca with a 450, only for a 2 count. Then Candice LeRae comes out. She goes over to the other side of the ring, checks on Nia Jax. Bianca and Naomi then take out Bayley for a minute, but then they face off. They kind of point to the outside of the ring. They both hit dives. Get back in. Bayley with a belly lead to belly, only for a 2. Naomi with a rear view, only for a 2. Nia with a Samoan drop for a 2 count. Bianca with an impressive spinebuster to Nia, hitting a moonsault, only for a 2 count. She gets Nia up for the KOD, but Candice LeRae stops Bianca by holding her ponytail. And then Bianca hits a hair whip, misses Candice, and then hits Naomi. Bianca then fights with Nia and Candice up the ramp. Bayley with a rose plant to pick up the win and become the number 1 contender. Unlike a couple of other people, I don't mind Bayley winning here. It's not a bad stopgap for Stratton. And while we have seen this match up before, I'm definitely looking forward to it more than most. And we get Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso in the back, with Jimmy saying to Cody, things with Roman are obviously not done. Cody then says, I saw this coming. We got more things to focus on right now. Come on. Cody walks off. Carmelo Hayes walks in, saying, last week it was 3-on-1. And unlike Strowman, I kept my end. Jimmy then says to Carmelo, what's your catchphrase? Mello don't miss? But with all those pricks, you can build a house. Which, that was a nice little parb by Jim Uso. Then we get the American Red Cross ad for relief for the fires out in California. My heart goes out to you, my fellow Americans. Then we get a backstage Bayley interview saying, my whole career, I grew up in this business. This is what we're all about. It's all about chances. And I wrestled Tiffy all last year and she never beat meat. So, nice short and sweet interview from Bayley. Definitely some interest in maybe seeing Bayley win again. Although Tiffy just got the belt, so probably not. Then we get a recap from Raw of the John Cena promo, which hyping up his inclusion in this year's Royal Rumble, which right now looks completely stacked. I mean, I think we got CM Punk, we got Cena, and now we got Roman Reigns. That's a hell of a top three. And now we go to our main event of the evening, and it's a tag team match play-up. But before that happens, we see the New Blood in the back. Jacob Fatu does his usual pre-match sprawl. Although, there was no I Love You solo, which is very, very interesting. Oh, also it was revealed Solo's coming back next week. So, yeah, I guess we'll see the repercussions of the tribal combat match from Raw. Anyway, yeah, we're going to our main event, as it's Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso taking on Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga of the New Blood. Which, I hope next week they get a new name. I think the Bloodline stuff is done. Anyway, Cody and Tama Tonga started off a little slowly. Eventually it did pick up with a big old Samoan drop. Eventually Jimmy tags in. It's a big old axe handle. Gets some strikes in which Tama ends up in his own corner, tags in Jacob, and he goes to town on poor Jim Uso, including a big old Samoan drop into a clothesline. Tags in Tama Tonga, who hits a senton, but Jim eventually fights back with a drop kick. Eventually Tonga hits a couple of elbows, then gets a nerve hold in, which maybe not the most exciting move, but it's whatever. Jimmy fights out of it, eats a couple of headbutts, hits a jawbreaker. Jacob Fatu tags himself in, hits a big splash and a senton, only for a 2 count. It's a couple of hip attacks for a 2 count. Goes for a superplex that gets blocked into a moonsault. Both men are down. They're struggling to get to their corner. Tagging each partners. That's Tama Tonga and Cody Rhodes. They get in and they just start beating each other. Cody with a big old power slam. Hits a disaster kick. Tries for a body slam that gets blocked. Tama Tonga gets sent to the outside. Cody with a big old dive. Gets him back in. It's the strike. Bionic elbow right to the top of the head. Only for a 2 count. Tama Tonga then fights back. Hits a leg whip. Cody goes for a crossroads. Only for a 2. Tama with his crazy sheer drop DDT. Which, honestly, that's what I'm going to call it from now on. Only gets a 2 count. Eventually, Jimmy tags in. Hits a superplex. Hits an Uso splash. Cody with a Cody cutter on Jacob. Takes him out ringside. But then, as Cody Rhodes is recovering, out walks Kevin Owens to ringside. And then Cody sees Kevin, and they just brawl to the back. Jimmy Uso is then left alone. Tries for a roll-up, only gets a 2. Gets a super kick, a spear, an Uso splash, only for a 2 count. Tama then tags out to Jacob. Who slams Jimmy into the announce table. Gets him back in. Hits a DDT and a moonsault to pick up a win for the New Blood. Then, to end the show, we see Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. They're brawling back to ringside. They end up on top of like an equipment box, which was very interesting. Kevin Owens tries for a package pile driver. Cody counters it, but then he just forces both of them off of the equipment box through a table sitting right next to it. So, yeah, definitely maybe not the most interesting episode of SmackDown, but we are definitely getting some storyline progression, which is always good. And also, you got some baller-ass wrestling. Like, that was a very... Well, maybe not as an important episode of SmackDown, it was definitely an entertaining episode. So, yeah, we'll see what happens come next week, because there are some big things coming. And then we finish up this week with AEW Collision, in which we start off with some quick little video promos from some of the participants, including Harley Cameron, Mariah May, Big Bill, and the rest of the Learning Tree, FTRKO, Rated FTR, and the like. And they do a good job, although I cannot keep up with that promo style. Then we start off with a very interesting matchup, as it's Copeland versus Big Cope, aka Adam Copeland versus Big Bill. And to start off, Big Bill uses his power to overpower Copeland, including a bunch of chops. Like, who knew Big Bill was so good at chopping? Eventually, Copeland does fight back, including a Big Bill snake eyes right into the ring steps, which that looked brutal. And another one into the barricade. Gets Copeland back in the ring. Goes for a choke slam. That gets blocked. Copeland with a couple knee strikes into a clothesline for a 2 count. He goes for a couple clotheslines, but Big Bill dodges, hitting a black hole slam for the 2. Then Chris Jericho, who's been at the announce table, gets up. He takes off his helmet, headset. He distracts the referee. Copeland tries for a scoop slam that gets countered into a big old uppercut. Tries for a superplex but gets blocked. Copeland then forces Big Bill into an exposed turnbuckle, hitting a big old power bomb for a 2 count. Sets up for a spear. He's ready for it. Goes for it. Big Bill moves. Then Copeland tries to recover. Eats a big boot for a 2 count. Big Bill tries for a choke slam. That gets blocked into an Impaler DDT. Hits the spear, but only gets a 2 count. Big Bill again tries for the choke slam. That gets blocked. Copeland with a low blow. And then a spear. Goes into the hammer and anvil elbows like Danielson used to do. And then locks Big Bill into the rear naked choke, the coquina, for the submission victory, which, very interesting they went submission victory for Copeland. Don't see that nearly often enough. So yeah, Copeland gets the win. Then the rest of the Learning Tree, that's Jericho and Brian Keith, come out, get off a commentary. They attack Copeland post-match. Then FTR make the save. And officials out, and they break it up. So, yeah, definitely an interesting start to the night. Big Bill is getting way better at this wrestling thing. Like, he has improved so much. We then get a rundown of the card for Collision, which definitely don't see that every day for AEW. I definitely like that. Then we get a video recap from Kenny Omega's promo from Dynamite, cut in with some career highlights, which is always cool. So dang happy Kenny Omega's back. But then we go to a backstage promo from Kenny Omega's former tag team partner, Hangman Adam Page. And he says this to Christopher Daniels. He's saying, "I've done so much in wrestling. I protected my family for one night, and it was all undone. And a long time, I felt shamed to come into work after what I allowed to happen. Now, I needed to make a decision. Remain the husk of a man I was, or do something about it. So I cost Swerve the AEW title as many times as I could, and all that's, and that all but spilled his brain in front of the world. Daniels, when I met you when I was a kid, I humored you. I listened for far too long, and last week you crossed the line when you put your hands on me. So Daniels, next week on Collision, I'll be seeing you in a Texas death match. And it's clear I would rather tear life on the earth apart than remain the man I was." Oh boy. I like this intense Hangman Adam Page. I know a lot of people liked the more sympathetic Hangman, but this more intense, psychotic Hangman, it works. Like, I don't know what it is. It's kind of endearing, a little. Then we go to our next match of the evening, as it's the Bastard Pac taking on Commander. Commander was obviously an alternate for the Continental Classic, and he got a win over Claudio Castagnoli, Pac's tag team partner. So Pac wants some revenge. And yeah, this was honestly a really, really good matchup. It kind of clash of styles with Pac's more technical style versus Commander's lucha libre. Eventually, Pac does get him on the outside, throws him into a couple of barricades, stomps him a couple of times. He gets back in the ring. Commander beats the 10 count. Pac misses a big drop kick. Commander with a big boot, only for a 2 count. Then Pac rolls out of the ring, grabs Commander's manager, Alex Abrahantes, by the neck. It looks like he's threatening him. Then Commander with a big old moonsault to him, gets him back in, whiffs on a big stomp. Commander with a cutter. Commander tries for a big moonsault. It gets caught, but then Commander switches it up, hits a DDT, which was awesome. Only gets a 2 count. Pac then with a toe hold into the turnbuckles has Commander up for the Black Arrow. Commander rolls out of the way, hits a couple of super kicks, then hits a big old destroyer off the ropes, goes for the 450, that gets blocked, right into the brutalizer by Pac for the submission victory. Now, instead of letting Commander go, Pac holds it in. And that's when the rest of the Death Riders come out. Or at least just Claudio and Yuta. They come out. They're about to beat up Commander. But the Outrunners make the save. They all brawl. Which leads right into our next match, as it's Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta taking on Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum of the Outrunners. And the Outrunners are still absolutely over. They overpower Yuta early on, but then when Claudio gets in, he just runs all over the Outrunners, including with some big old uppercuts. Turbo Floyd with a Lou Thesz press, which that was honestly kind of neat. Tags in Truth Magnum, who it's a big suplex and then a strike. Gets a clothesline over the top. Claudio gets back in, tags in Yuta. They hit a heart attack, which definitely an interesting move. Yuta tries for a suplex, that gets blocked. Counter right into a suplex for Truth Magnum. Claudio tags in, hits a elbow drop, only for a 2 count. Goes for a suplex of his own, that gets blocked into a roll-up, but that gets countered as well. Truth Magnum and Yuta then tag in. They start brawling with each other. Bunch of scoop slams, including Turbo scooping and slamming Truth, which is obviously hilarious. Trading roll-ups only for a 2 count. Outrunners try for their Total Recall finisher, which is a great name for a finisher, but that gets blocked by the Death Riders. Like I said, trading roll-ups. Yuta gets some kicks in, tags in Claudio. It's a giant swing into Yuta's dropkick, only for a 2 count. Claudio gets him up for superplex, that gets blocked. Turbo with the eye rake. And then Claudio pulls the ref in the way to try and distract him. Yuta with a cheap shot on Turbo to knock him off the top. Claudio then with a superplex. Tags in Yuta. Hits a rocket launcher for a win for the Death Riders. So, yeah, definitely an interesting matchup. I'm glad the Outrunners are getting some time. I'm going to talk about the Death Riders story a little bit later. And some of y'all might not like it. We then get a hype video for the upcoming Dynamite this week. And then we get a backstage promo from Powerhouse Hobbs saying, Mox, everything is sat here in front of you. You wanted someone to step up, and I did. And when I did, won the gauntlet and was face to face with you, you ran. Now Wednesday, I get to show I get my shot, and I've been left for dead before. There's nothing you can do to me to stop me. And on Dynamite, Mox, I will make you my bitch. I love Hobbs. I hope he gets his title, man, because he deserves it. Then we go to the weirdest yet most compelling match on the evening, as it's Harley Cameron taking on Mariah May, no title on the line. And to say Harley Cameron has improved, she stuck with Mariah May the whole way through. And while it wasn't a super long match, it was more than enough for Harley to show her stuff, including a surprising neck breaker into a suplex combo that only gets a 2 count. She goes for a roll up, only for a 2. Mariah May with a big old knee strike into the Storm Zero to pick up the win. And like I said, Harley Cameron can hang. I definitely do this matchup again somewhere down the line. Maybe not on pay-per-view, but at least on Dynamite. Then we get like a little video promo from Christopher Daniels with him saying, "Hangman, I never approached you as an official, even though at the time I was EVP. I saw all your friends, your teammates turn on you, and I wanted to be your friend. And you ask what I've done in wrestling. I've won titles. I've wrestled all over the world. I've wrestled for so many companies. I was AEW before it was real. And while I'm not an EVP now, I'm a man who's tired of being disrespected. I'll see you next week." So, that Texas Death Match is going to be something. Then we go to our next match as Brody King, who is being led to the ring by Julia Hart, takes on Trevor Blackwell, a.k.a. Loco Yokel. And while Trevor did get some stuff in, this was the Brody King show. Although at one point Brody did have Trevor running on the outside of the ring. He runs into Julia, who does the So, Brody gets him back in the ring. It's a big old meat hook clothesline, cannonball into the Gonzo bomb to pick up the win. So then we go backstage. Brody King is being interviewed, saying, "It's been a real confusing time for the House of Black. I don't really know what's happening, but..." And then Adam Copeland comes in and saying, "I know you've been through a lot, and at the end, I respect the hell out of you. You have a world of potential, and I wanted us to be in a group, but it's time for you to take the reins and run." A group with Copeland, FTR, and Brody King? Yeah, sign me up. And while I'm a little sad that the House of Black is over, potentially with Malachi going back to the WWE, still not confirmed yet. We have been down this road before. But, a Copeland, Brody King partnership, I'd be okay with that. Then we go into our next match, and it's for the TNT title, as Katsuyori Shibata challenges Daniel Garcia. And this was a very technical, hard-hitting affair, even though they're teammates. Like, this was great. They traded chops, they traded leg sweeps, traded submission holds. Garcia at one point blocked a figure 4 attempt. Gets a roll up into a 2. They trade big boots, trade suplexes, double clothesline in the middle of the ring. Then Shibata with a leg trip into the octopus hold, which, great move, octopus hold. But Daniel Garcia gets out of it by getting in the ropes, hitting a leg whip, going to lock in the ankle lock, but that gets blocked into a roll-up, only for a 2. Garcia with a takedown into the Dragon Tamer, which, crazy to see that move again. Shibata eventually gets out of it, locks in a figure 4, but Garcia eventually makes it to the ropes. Shibata then with a big kick, whiffs on a penalty kick. Garcia goes for a leg whip. That gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2. Then Garcia with a takedown into a roll-up for the win. And then big old respect fest post-match. Gonna be interested to see what comes of this. Then we get a hype video for the Women's Casino Gauntlet happening on Dynamite. that should obviously be a fun one. And that leads us to our main event of the evening, as Dax Harwood takes on Chris Jericho. And, this wasn't that great of a match. Like, it started off pretty good. They did the basics. But then, Dax with a big old brainbuster, middle of the ring, only gets a 2 count. Dax was trying for a flying Melinda, which is what I'm going to call it from now on. Gets pushed off the top by Jericho, who then hits a Hurricane Rana off the top, which that was honestly really good. Hits a couple of shoulders in the corner, goes for a crossbody. Dax catches it, roll through, 2 count only. They trade suplexes for a little bit. Jericho with a catapult into a lion salt for a 2 count. Dax tries for a sharpshooter that gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2 count. Jericho tries for a superplex that gets blocked. Dax with a superplex of his own. Then after a trade of elbow strikes, Jericho rolls out of the ring, grabs the ROH title, goes for a belt shot, and then Dax just with the... It was an really awkward belt shot. Eventually, Jericho does hit the shot. He goes for the belt shot again, but Dax Harwood grabs it, throws it to the side. Takedown, tries for a sharpshooter that gets blocked. Jericho with a code breaker, which that was wild. On the outside, Jericho gets back in. Dax beats the 10 count. Jericho then with an attempt at the walls of Jericho that gets blocked. Dax with a sharpshooter, but Jericho makes it in the ropes. Jericho then sees the ROH World title again, still in the ring, grabs the belt, goes for a shot, another awkward miss. Dax with a suplex, a diving headbutt. Eventually, Jericho does get the belt shot, but only gets a 2. Jericho with a Judas effect to pick up the win. Then Big Bill and Brian Keith come out. Entire Learning Tree beat up Dax. Then Cash, Wheeler, and Copeland come out. And all 6 of them brawl. This brings out the Death Riders for whatever reason. They start fighting them. The Outrunners join in. Then after a spear and a Paragon shift to Copeland from Moxley, who comes in. Then the Death Riders stand over Copeland. They're about to hit a concerto on him, which is ironic. And then Powerhouse Hobbs makes the save. It's a big old spine buster on Yuta. And takes him out with a chair. And then Mox actually then gets a chair. Hits Hobbs in the back with it. Hobbs just turns to him, smiles, and Mox bails. And then Hobbs grabs Yuta, hits a Uranagi through the announce table to end the show. So, I'm going to say this. As exciting as that main event segment sounded, I am kind of over the whole Death Riders thing. Like, it started out interesting. You had them try to take out one of their own in Bryan Danielson. But then it just kind of feel like we're spinning our wheels with this. So, I do hope there is a pivot from AEW coming soon, especially with Hobbs being the next challenger for Moxley. Maybe it's time. And look, I know that Tony Khan wants to crown Darby Allin as champion, but with him climbing Mount Everest, which is a crazy sentence to say, maybe we don't want to wait that long. Maybe it's time to just pivot, which is what AEW used to do back in the day. I remind all of you of the Nightmare Collective, which was Brandy Rhodes, Awesome Kong, Rebel, and then Luther, who joined together and did whatever it is they were doing. And then it just stopped. Tony Khan pivoted out. I think it's time for another pivot for the Death Riders. It just feels like the storyline is spinning its legs and going nowhere. So, overall, I did enjoy Collision. A lot of really good wrestling. The only two downs I kind of felt like were the Hangman Page promo, which was a little too yelly for my liking. And, the setup for the main event. So, hopefully, we get to see something a little bit more from AEW going forward. Overall, very interesting week of wrestling. I did enjoy it in parts, but as a whole, it was just very, very weird. So, we got Raw coming up later tonight. We got a very interesting debut, Zero Miedo. And probably a lot of really good action, especially now that they're not trying to I don't want to say that. Trying to please the corporate side of things. So, I'm definitely excited for what's coming this week. I hope you all are too. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.